She lived abroad in Japan for a year as part of Baylor's exchange program, and then went on to spend 5 years living in Korea. She earned a master's in international commerce from Korea University in 2017, and has since been working as a member of a Korean tech startup for English language etiquette. She has authored 2 theses, one on Japan's educational system and one on competition regulation.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. First, let me say congratulations to the new inductees. I was inducted 6 years ago in 2013 after finding my closest friends and most important mentor through Baylor's Japanese program. The interactive and personal style of learning in the Japanese classes here gives you the chance to build friendships that you don't always find in academia. And I think there's a real value in learning to cooperate openly, which is almost unavoidable when you're communicating back at the grade school level again, which is part of the challenge of language acquisition. Living abroad only takes this openness to an even greater degree. I lived for 1 year in Tokyo through Baylor's exchange program with Hosei University, and then for 5 years in Korea after graduating. When you're operating in a second language, even simple tasks like ordering in a restaurant become your big achievement for the day. I wrote home when I could finally send an application by fax on my own at the convenience store, which I needed to do to book more travel. But of course, there are always some things you can't do on your own that you just have to ask for help for. Negotiating with a real estate agent or consulting with a doctor come to mind. Things where a few details expressed wrong can have consequences. That dependence is really not a bad thing, though, even though it can be demoralizing at first not to be independent. If anything, it just makes clear in the immediate what's true on a larger scale anyway. We do depend on each other, both personally and socially. I actually think that's one of the greatest things you can learn by studying language and traveling. They say that the structure of our language influences the patterns of our thoughts. And if that's true, then by learning a foreign language, you can gain the perspective to recognize the different defaults that we take to be obvious in one society, even though they differ in another. On a serious level, that contrast might be whether we assume convenience or community is our greatest motivating factor. Or on a lighter note, it might be trying to eat some fried rings that come with your burger and expecting there to be onion inside, but discovering there's some squid in there instead. These differences are what make life interesting. But another essential thing you'll learn by immersing yourself in a contrasting culture is that there are some deeper universalities. People are people, wherever you go. We all want to go home in the evening. We all hope for healthy and happy families. You can talk about good food with anyone, and it takes us all a bit of bravery to be the first to reach out in a secondary language. We might imagine the details for these different things differently, but the basic instinct behind them is the same, and that's proven by the way we all developed words to describe these ideas in our respective languages, even without reference to each other. Words like home, family, bravery, and delicious all emerge from the same basic human instinct. When you live abroad, your new society becomes like a family member. You get to know it in depth, you learn to collaborate smoothly with people who believe in different defaults, and you discover some new pet peeves. But above all, you know that you're connected. It brings globalization to the personal level, and it teaches through action why working together is essential. We're all living under the same sky, just dressing our days in different colors. So, what does this lead up to? Well, another common responsibility that we all have as people, no matter what major or career we're looking forward to, and no matter what language or country we hope to pursue it in, is to share our wider perspective with the people around us, to remind them that essential humanity is not divided by national or cultural boundaries. Not any more so than the ground is divided by the lines on maps. If it has been divided, it's been done by human hands and not inherent differences, and can be as easily undone. Especially as we become more global, it's important to remember what matters, and that's people, over countries, causes, or currencies. What can be described for hours in theory can be felt instantly by personal experience. And your decision to study Japanese, and the commitment you've shown by earning a place in the Honor Society, puts you in the perfect position to discover this if you haven't already. My closest friends hail from China, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Mexico, and of course, Korea and Japan. And we all met outside our own borders, in Asia, because when you get to know someone in a shared learning environment, you can identify them by more original lines than just a national label. Every society contains a wide range of personalities, and making personal connections with people of contrasting life experiences, but often similar hopes, can make that claim more than theory, can make it felt. The Indian author Arundhati Roy described the world as an ocean of languages, a teeming ecosystem of living creatures, with official language fish, unofficial dialect mollusks, and flashing shoals of word fish. She says that all these creatures are nourished by what the ocean provides, and they have no choice but to coexist, to survive, and to try to understand each other. People, meanwhile, are also swimming around in that ocean, constantly translating to and for each other, constantly speaking across languages, and constantly realizing that the people who speak the same language are not necessarily the ones who understand each other best. A lot of nations lately have seen a trend towards more divisive and nationalistic perspectives, and language often serves as a symbol of conformity or otherness in those larger debates. But this kind of simplification misrepresents the humanity that we have in common. Overcoming the language barrier and connecting with the people of other nations makes this obvious. My time abroad has convinced me that everything we do ought to be in service of humanity as a shared experience, and any efforts for progress that eclipse human interest are in error. We don't have to accept false ultimatums. We don't have to either give up all human interest or give up progress, which is an idea you often come across in international relations, aid and development, and even business. Measured responses are possible, and there's no such thing as us and them, except how we define it. So be inclusive, because we depend on each other. So, as inductees for the JHS, you're already off to a strong start. By learning a language outside what's common for your region, you've shown that your interest in the world reaches beyond simple borders. I hope that you'll continue to live by embracing what's new and different, and I congratulate you on your induction into the Japanese Honor Society.